what I'm going to do in beginning is talk about where I am with what I consider to be the major issues facing this work of engaging all forms of artistic expression in not only therapy, but art, healing, and all of life. And I'm going to talk about that. There's all this conversation today about founders, which I find is often very misleading. I founded a graduate program at Lesley. I didn't found this work, even though I was alone at the start. I did not found it. It has always existed throughout time. Aisha and I have had a wonderful exchange about the transcultural whole earth basis of art healing. And of course, where you are today in Cairo, there's some basis for depth in that part of the world. This is Christopher and Priscilla in the studio at the mental hospital where I was working from 1970 to 1974, and this is probably at about 1972, and these are the people that introduced me to whole art expression. Here's Priscilla's portrait of Christopher, and of course Priscilla was always singing. She wrote poetry. She was a magnificent pianist, and these things all happened in the art studio, and she danced. And so was I to say, well, this is a visual art studio. We're not going to be doing that. So it was clear. It was fundamentally clear from the very beginning that art healing involves all forms of artistic expression and is not necessarily privileged to one institutional specialization, which is not part of the reality. I found in my work with young children, 5, 6 years old, during the same period of time, that they were constantly telling stories as they painted. They were creating drama as they painted, and of course they were moving. This is Christopher again, doing a picture of me. There's a whole movement today in what's called the art therapy community of response art, making art in response to each other. Now, this is, in my opinion, how the institutional form in practice of whole art expression, total art expression, using all forms of art and therapy took place in response to the video camera. Okay, let's call video a founder, because when you put the camera in the studio, people immediately and instinctively moved in response to it, read their poetry. People responded to the video. And then that video was introduced by an art museum, the Addison Gallery of American Art. And the gallery brought people into the visual art museum, where the camera generated movement, generated storytelling, generated poetry, and different people in our community had different artistic interests, and we always responded to that. And the institutional development started to take shape with the support of the Addison Gallery of American Art, which, by the way, in 1972 exhibited the art of the patients in nationally recognized exhibits that just set the whole thing up. And that's going to segue into what I'm going to say today about art is the evidence for the use of art and healing. Art is the evidence. To take that art and translate it into something else, into so-called social science data, is what I call a research disorder. The art speaks for itself beautifully, eloquently, as it has done throughout human history. Everything that has happened in my career, the thousands of students involved in the various programs that evolved out of the Lesley place, all happened on the basis of showing art evidence. This is the Addison Gallery. And once again, this is a blurred screenshot that the curator and photographer made. But here we are in an art museum, doing movement because the video camera brought it out. And of course, they made paintings. They did it, and it was a community event involving Gesamtkunstwerk, total art expression, a term that I love to use as a nod to my beloved colleague, Paolo Knill, and his German language. Here's Norma Cantor. When we established Lesley in March of 1974, as a result of the showing of the art evidence and the tremendous response that it had, we established a graduate program. Norm is the first person I brought in. She taught us all how to work with all forms of artistic expression. She had a background in drama as well as dance. Now, interestingly enough, Norma was the diva of integrated arts, but as she aged, she got more and more entrenched in siloed and narrow dance therapy. The pull to departmentalization is strong in human nature. It is very strong. And it has actually been very useful to me as something to push against, to articulate a contrary, more natural point of view. In my view, siloed specialization is unnatural. Full artistic expression is the basis of the ecology of creation. Here we are at our summer colloquium. I mean, this thing started there at Lesley in 1974, and within 5 years, we had students from 35 countries and hundreds of students. These are the key points I want to make here today, and we're going to open it up. And I wrote them down in advance so I could keep on track for brevity. Contemporary expressive arts therapy emerged naturally from total art expression of children and adults that transcend silos. We talked about that. Yeah. We participate in ancient worldwide continuities of art healing. And then the first line of my book, Art is Medicine, that was published in 1992. And that's had a great life and has been translated in many languages. Whenever illness is associated with the loss of soul, the arts urge spontaneously. Soul across all cultures. We're living in this crazy time when someone like me set out in the 1970s to explore, based on my undergraduate training in world religions and history and world history, to explore how what we're doing in art and therapy is not new. And it is fundamental in cultures and communities. Never, ever thinking of adopting things that other people do. I've been labeled by one person in that wonderful journal of art therapy as a cultural appropriator. It is not appropriating to explore what human beings and human communities share, and those things that transcend each and every one of us who operates in our profoundly unique ways. I keep telling my students, please don't do it the way I do it. Do it your way. Do it your way, not my way. Study me like artists study other artists, but what defines art is doing it your way. And I think that's going to go on to the next system. Well, that's coming up. Artistic intelligence finds its way ahead of conscious reflection in therapy, learning, and research. It cannot be reduced to nor follow fixed conceptual systems. If the process and outcomes are not unique, this point does follow what I just said. If things today, all of these people go around replicating step 1, step 2, step 3, steps 4, step 5 of someone else's system. William Blake said, create your own systems. He said that a long time ago, or be defined by someone else's. Art heals by engaging conflict and difficulties, using them as fuel to be transformed into affirmations of life. The healing process involves an infusion of creative energy into persons, places, and all of life. This happens in therapy, but cannot be restricted to it. IATA affirms this. So, art heals everywhere in all of life, in complete ecology of creation, including all the senses, the various art forms. I've always worked in community. It never, of course, I'd meet with people individually, of course. Always have and always will. But I find that my vocation is to work in community. Now, I have a new book that's in press with Intellect in the UK and here in the United States with the University of Chicago Press. It's called Art is the Evidence, a concise guide to art-based research, something that developed in response to my 1998 book, Art-Based Research, that I thought was going to be, that I was writing for the art therapy community because research was of increasing interest and a priority in the field. And to my surprise, of course, art therapy didn't respond so well. They're still doing their social science reductionistic, trying to prove art through, as the great physicist Richard Feynman said, pseudoscience, using the forms of science. But it's not science, and it's a significant disorder that we're experiencing in the world today. The way to promote the efficacy art healing is to show the, as I say at the bottom of that tab, show the art as artists have done so convincingly throughout human history. Art is the evidence of the efficacy of what we do, of what I just did last night. When I've had this, I pulled a muscle in the back of my neck moving these big trees the other day. Maybe I've got to slow down as I reach come close to my 79th birthday. And I was feeling bad. Physical ailments, oh my God, the painting process helped me so much. And you show the art and believe that people will get it. As Robert Coles used to say to me, he was a psychiatrist that won the Pulitzer Prize for the Children of Crisis series. He used to say to me, Shaun, we doctors, we read novels at night. We know how to respond to art. They get it. They get it. And if someone is blocked, and it's a problem, maybe you could call them on their blocks. But open to the passion, to the beauty, to the depths of the soulful art expressions of other human beings, and that will change the world. Art is the evidence. It's a very serious problem. But anyway, so one thing I want to close on in terms of all this talk about founders, you're all founders. The first students were founders. Priscilla and Christopher were founders. Nothing would have happened without them. Keep on founding it and skip this trying to attribute it to this one or that one or anything else. Because it's always been there. You just reactivate it. It's not about founding it. It's about reactivating it. It's paying attention to it. Okay. Brava to you. I've never seen anything like this. It's 85 sessions. Brava. Hello.
Before we leave, actually, let me take it to I'm sitting inside while
ciao.
Many people were sitting inside.
Hello. Oh, grazie. Buongiorno, Italia. Oh. Wonderful. Boy, you've got a great community going here, everybody. Wow.